All right. Thank you, everyone, for showing up today to learn more about the benefits of receiving an education from the UK. My name is Daniel Terry. I am the Marketing and Content Specialist at Catalyst Gem. With me is Tamika Gibson, our International Enrollment Officer. And today, our guest speaker is Ruth Walton, who is the Senior Global Officer at the University of Portsmouth, or UOP. Ruth has worked with young people who are considering a university education for 15 years, providing information, advice, and guidance to encourage and support them to study for a degree at a UK university. For almost 5 years, Ruth has worked with UOP with UK students, and for the past year, within the global team, working with international students from Europe, Central Asia, and the Americas. This webinar will cover 3 main areas. First, why study in the UK. Second, information about the student visa process. And third, an introduction to the University of Portsmouth. At the end of this session, we'll host a Q&A session to answer any questions that you have, hosted by Tamika and Ruth. And so I'll pass it over to you, Ruth.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Thank you for that introduction. It makes me sound really important. I must get you to read out my profile again. I actually wrote that myself, but you know, it's when somebody else reads that out, it makes me sound like I know what I'm doing, which is really encouraging, because I do. I know a lot about higher education and studying here in the UK. So as Daniel says, my name is Ruth. I work here at the University of Portsmouth. It is written as Portsmouth, but it's pronounced as Portsmouth here in the UK. And the time now is about 4:05 in the afternoon. So good afternoon if you're joining me in the afternoon, wherever you are in the world, but good evening and good morning to depending on where you are around this wonderful globe that we all live on. So as Daniel says, I'm going to be doing a bit of a change around on that title. So an introduction to why study in the UK, visa requirements, and then whilst I'm here, Catalyst Gem and Daniel and the team have very kindly allowed me to just to do a few slides on who we are, the University of Portsmouth, and what we have to offer. So let's make a start. And we are going to be doing questions at the end. So if there's anything that you want to know some more information on that I cover in this presentation today, please do put your questions in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen, or if there's just something new that you want to know that I haven't covered in today's talk, then I'll happily answer that as well. So let's begin. So Destination UK. I really like this slide because if you've got a nice big screen, the Union Jack, the British flag, really stands out and stands proud. So Destination UK, why come to the United Kingdom? So there are lots of opportunities to study on what lots of people call our islands of the UK, because looking at the map of the world, the UK looks pretty small compared to some larger countries and continents around the world. But the UK has lots to offer students and international students in particular. So talking overall, there are some fantastic opportunities with world-ranked universities. The reputation of the UK education system is really known internationally. So having that British qualification, that UK qualification on your future job application is really going to help you to stand out. And it's also, of course, enhancing your English language as well. To get into a UK university, you will need to have a certain level of English language as part of the entry requirements. Things like IELTS or Duolingo, maybe the Cambridge assessments, lots of different examples of English language qualifications that UK universities will accept. But you have that level of language, and it's not until you live in that country and you get to know the UK and you're living here and you're using that language daily, and that's when you really sort of take your English language skills to the next level. So you have innovative teaching, certainly here at the University of Portsmouth, but lots of universities around the UK will offer you that different style of teaching. Yes, you're potentially coming to the UK to study a bachelor, which is an undergraduate degree qualification, or you're coming to do a master's, so a postgraduate qualification. Either way, you are going to be having some theory. in your study. So classroom, lecture theatres, but also different ways of learning. So some group work assessments, maybe some presentations that you have to give, maybe some creative aspect to your qualification as well. But alongside that innovative teaching, you're going to have access to practical facilities, equipment and resources that are often, certainly here at the University of Portsmouth, of industry standards, sometimes better than industry as well, because universities in the UK want to give you the theory, but also the practical learning where possible, depending on the course, of course, giving you that innovative teaching. But also we invite industry specialists to come in and speak to you. Our academics here at Portsmouth have come from industry. They know their industry, they know their subjects academically and within the practical working environment as well. But we also invite guest speakers to come and speak to you, to share their experiences, to give you a different angle or a different outlook of your subject that you want to study at higher education. And of course, coming to the UK is an unforgettable student experience, really mixing that cultural experience as well. There's such, in Portsmouth alone, our the international student population makes up 25% of our overall student population. But living in the UK on its own right, not just in Portsmouth, wherever you go in the UK, generally speaking, there's a great cultural environment, learning from different nationalities, learning from different traditions, experiences, things that you're going to learn and build for your university experience. And that unforgettable student experience. Maybe you are moving away from home for the first time. That's hard enough when you're staying in your own country, but moving to the UK, it shows to a future employer. So it shows on your future job application that you can adapt to change, that you can adapt to different cultures and different life experiences. You can adapt to different weather as well. Here in the UK, we've had a beautiful couple of days here with beautiful blue skies and sunshine, but it has been actually really cold. So that's all part of the student experience, living and adapting to different culture and a different lifestyle. And these are kind of transferable skills that you'll be learning, moving away from home to a different country. These are what we call transferable skills. So this is getting you ready for that working environment, for your future career. Because like I say, it shows to a future employer that you can adapt to change, that you are ready to hit the ground running and work for that company because of the skills and the experiences you've had of studying overseas and here in the UK. And then we also have the opportunities for post-study work opportunities as well. So on your student visa, wherever you're from around the world, so whether you're classed as before Brexit, we had international students and then we had students from the EU. But now, because of Brexit, don't go there, but because of Brexit, all students are now classed as international students if you want to come to the UK, and you still have to apply for your student visa. And that's quite a straightforward process that we're going to cover in a moment. But it does just take a bit of time to process. But on your student visa, you then have the post-study work opportunities. You have the graduate route, and that is where you can stay and work in the UK for 2 years after you've graduated from your higher education qualification. Coming up to this section here, the UK graduate route is where you can apply to stay in the UK and work, or be looking for work once you have graduated. So you may finish your qualification in the May or June of that academic year, having started your final year or your 1-year qualification, whatever it is, the September before. So you'll finish your bachelor or your master's qualification in the, I say, May, June, perhaps, of that academic year. And then you can start to look for work, or better still, start looking for work, a few months before you finish university. And then if you're as a successful undergraduate or master's students can apply to stay in the UK for up to 2 years after your studies. So you can stay here and work and enjoy living in the UK, having a slightly different experience in the UK because now you're not a student anymore, you're earning a salary. Maybe you relocate, maybe you've done 3 or 1 years here in Portsmouth, but you want to go to London, or you want to go to another city in the Midlands, in the middle of the country, in Birmingham, or further north in Manchester, for example. And that's just in England. You could go up to Scotland, you could go across to Wales, or you could go across to Northern Ireland, all forming part of the United Kingdom, and Great Britain, all the same umbrella. And you could then obviously go and work and live in a different city to have that different cultural experience as well of the UK, because it's quite different. There are lots of things that are very similar in the UK, but then between the four countries of England, Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales, there is some interesting cultural and language and accents, some crazy accents around the UK that you can enjoy and adapt to, and maybe pick up your own version of the accent as well. So maybe on that post-study work visa, on the graduate route, you could maybe relocate from Portsmouth and go somewhere else. If you're coming to the University of Portsmouth and considering doing a PhD, or maybe you stay with us after your bachelor, your master's qualification to study for a PhD, to get your doctorate, graduates can apply to stay on the student visa for up to 3 years. And with all of this, there are no minimum salary requirements. So just to stay in the UK for those 2 years, you don't have to be earning a certain amount. As long as you are earning and you have a salary, then there are no minimum salary requirements. Okay, moving on to those visa requirements, a bit more detail now on this. So you will need a certain amount of documents. Students often ask me, how early can they apply for a course with us? And I would imagine that other universities around the UK will give the same answer I'm going to give. Now, if a course starts in September, we don't close until the course starts. But you need to allow time as an international student to complete your application. And then once you've completed your application with the university, whether it's us or hopefully it's with Portsmouth, but it could be anywhere else, of course. Once you have completed that application, you then need to get a certain letter, a certain document that I'm going to tell you about. And that's when you need to apply for your student visa. Now, that student visa, depending on where you're from in the world, can take 3 weeks. It can take 3 months, sometimes longer if there are certain complications. So help yourself, reduce your stress, and for the university as well, reduce our stress, apply as early as possible. So if you're thinking about September this year, 2023, then I recommend applying very soon. We're in April, we're in the first week of April. So yes, absolutely get that application in now, and even if you haven't got everything in order, just process an application, start the ball rolling, start things going on that application, because we will contact you to say, we make you a conditional offer on condition of you meeting certain requirements. So you might still need to send us proof of your qualifications. You might still need to send us your English language requirements or proof of your deposit or whatever it might be. I think I'm covering my slide actually, so I'm going to keep clicking. Right, here we go. Yes, so documents that you need as part of your application. You need to have a CAS letter, a CAS statement. And CAS stands for Confirmation of Acceptance for Studies. And this is the final document. If you were, for example, applying to Portsmouth or another university, when you've met all of their requirements, so you've given us your high school qualifications, if that's what we need from you, or if you're coming for a master's, you've given us examples of your bachelor qualifications. You've proven other English language, your bank statements. The CAS letter is the final document that you get. I'm holding it like it's a piece of paper, but it's actually an email, a PDF email that you will receive from the university, that you will then take to your embassy or the British embassy, the UK embassy, to get your student visa, because that shows to the embassy that wherever you get your student visas from, that shows that you have met our requirements. You are coming from a UK VI, so a UK visa and immigration point of view. It shows to your country, your home country, that yes, you are coming to the UK, and it says to us as well that this student is coming because they've got that official letter. So these are the documents that you need for your visa requirements, that CAS statement, that CAS letter. So that will be sent to you. I keep repeating it because I want you to remember. So it comes to you by email. And my advice to you there with your email, always check your emails. I know lots of students these days don't like looking at emails, but please do, because that's how universities are going to communicate with you. And if you're expecting something, or maybe you applied 2-4 weeks earlier and you still haven't heard anything from a university, always check your spam, your junk folder as well, because lots of emails from universities will go into your spam folder as well. That's my lecture over. Always check your emails. So another document that you will need is a bank statement or official sponsor letter. So a bank statement to show us that you have your finances in order, for want of a better description. You know, we need to see evidence that you have enough money in your bank account for a certain amount of time. So you need to set up a bank account that will hold the money that the university needs. Now, whether that's like a lot of our courses and a lot of the countries that we work with, we require, I'm looking at my list, 50% of tuition fees for the first year. That's just for certain countries. Other countries, we need a deposit of £3,500. So we need to make sure that we need to be able to see evidence of a bank statement to see that you have that money in your bank account, and it needs to stay there in your bank account for a certain amount of time. So it can't dip in for a month and then go again because someone's lent you the money, but they need that money back in their bank account. It's got to stay put. It's got to stay in one central place in your bank account. And also they'll probably be, the university will probably need to see evidence of the funds for your living expenses and other funds as well. So just things to consider, things to remember about the bank statement. But if you are lucky enough to be a sponsored or a scholarship student, we will need to see that official letter as well. So occasionally with one of the countries that I look after, I work with the sponsored students from one particular country that their government sponsors certain students on certain subjects. And I need to see, and my colleagues in the admissions team need to see that sponsor letter from that ministry, from that education ministry. We also need, for your visa requirements, what will be asked of you are your details of your academic qualifications listed on your CAS. So that first point, the confirmation of acceptance for studies. We need to see the academic qualifications listed on your CAS. So that's in the form of certificates and transcripts of information. If you have that as a PDF copy, then that's great. You can just email that across to the university you're applying to, or just take a photograph of something. If you haven't got a scanning option at home, you can take a photograph with your mobile phone if you have that, and then you can send that picture as an attachment. But just do your best to make it nice and straight and clear and not creased and all this kind of thing as well. As part of your visa requirement, we also need to see an in-date and up-to-date copy of your passport. So again, a photograph of that, or if you have access to a scanning machine, great. But we need to see access, and the visa requirement is to see an up-to-date version of your passport. So if you don't have an up-to-date passport, you need to get that. Obviously, you'll need that anyway to get to the UK, to get into the country when you're flying here as and when. If any of your documentation is not in English, that will need to be translated. So, excuse me, not your passport, of course, but your academic qualifications, anything like that that you're sharing with us needs to be translated in English. And then if this applies to you, letters, details of your valid ATAS. This is more for an engineering qualification, I believe. So the Academic Technology Approval Scheme. And also, if it's a country where you're from that's applicable, we also need to see your TB injection, your test certificate as well, to make sure that you're meeting the entry requirements to enter the UK. So that's the details on the visa requirements. It's quite a lot of information to go through. Just I should have let you know at the beginning, this is being recorded. So I think my colleagues on the call today are going to share that with you. They're nodding, great. Yes, thank you, Daniel. That this is going to be shared with you. So if you are frantically making notes of all the documentation, please don't worry. You'll have a chance to watch this back again and maybe share with siblings or friends as well, or parents if they're interested as well. So your CAS statement, and that certificate of acceptance for studies. So as I've said already, your CAS will be issued to you once you have met all the conditions of your offer. And this also includes a deposit in addition to those academic conditions and requirements as well. So you need to help us get to that stage of your CAS statement, you need to make sure that you have met and submitted evidence. So given us an evidence, emailed it to us of all the academic conditions for your offer. So examples of these conditions are as part of your personal statement, as part of your application. Your personal statement is when you write about yourself. And I know that can be quite hard to do sometimes, but it's good practice for future job applications anyway. So applying to a university in the UK, we need a personal statement from you to say why you think you're suitable for that course, that qualification, how that's going to help you for your future career aspirations, and your academic capabilities as well, and your interests and your enthusiasm about what kind of person and motivation for your subjects and what kind of person that you are. So we need to see that personal statement from you. We also need to see, as I've mentioned, those final transcripts, certificates from your high school. And if you're looking to come and do a master's with us, we'd also need those final transcripts from your university where you got your bachelor from, to make sure that you've met the entry requirements for the master's. I said about the ATAS certificate already, or we also need references from maybe from your academic tutor, from a teacher at your high school, or somebody that knows you from a professional capacity. Maybe you've left high school a long time ago, you're a mature student and you're thinking about coming back to university and coming to the UK. Then we also take references from your employer as well, somebody that knows you in a professional capacity, and can sort of make it that reference and that recommendation to you. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we also need evidence of your English language qualification. And if you go onto our international pages for Portsmouth, for example, then we have a whole list of the different English language qualifications that we accept. There are a few examples there with IELTS, the Advanced Duolingo, and TOEFL as well. But we have a huge list, so I'm very confident that other universities will have a very similar list as well, as long as you meet a certain entry requirements. To give you an idea, IELTS is very popular. It's a mainstream English language, but IELTS or equivalent. So the IELTS qualification, for a bachelor qualification, we are looking for, try and remember now, IELTS level 6 with no component lower than 5.5. Yes, that's right. And then for masters, it's IELTS level 7 or equivalent with no component lower than 6.5, to give you an idea. And some courses, that's generally speaking, one or two courses are a bit different, a little bit higher, but generally speaking, that's what we ask for. If your course requires an ATAS certificate, you will need to ensure that you apply for this in good time, as it can take 30 or more working days to issue. So again, as part of your application, get that in nice and early to us, but also don't put off anything else that you need to get done. It requires that effort, that concentration. We all have busy lives. If you're studying at the moment, it's an extra thing to think about. But if you want it, you've got to get it done. So, take the pressure off yourself, get it in nice and early, and get that ATAS certificate applied for as well. Okay, working in the UK, I'm just going to keep an eye on the time because I talk forever and I need to stop because we have questions coming through, I can see. So working in the UK, so on your student visa, this is whilst you're studying. So we mentioned about the post-study work visa, where you can work as a normal full-time employer for 2 years. But on your student, when you're studying here in the UK, you can work up to 20 hours per week during term time. This is if you're on a full-time qualification. If you're doing a part-time qualification, you're unable to work, but 20 hours per week. And lots of students have part-time jobs these days, working in hospitality, leisure, retail, that kind of environment. There are quite often part-time jobs around the university campus as well here in Portsmouth. And I know, having worked at 2 other UK universities as well in my time, in my 16 years experience, I know that there are other jobs available on campus as well. So my advice to you is when you arrive at your university, go to the careers team, because the careers team are there not just to help you with your future career, but also about part-time work, maybe seasonal work around the Christmas holidays, Christmas vacation time, lots of opportunities you know, to work. So, and just get your resume, get your CV ready, you know, when you start, because you can take those into restaurants and say, hey, I'm looking for a job. This is the information on me, and is there anything available? And you can do that. You can, of course, then use that work. You can then work full time during your vacation period. So we're in the Easter holidays here, the spring break here in the UK. So lots of students are working full time, and over the summer you have maybe 3 months off, depending on your course. So you can maybe work full-time hours and let that money build up, ready for the next academic year. Master students, on that note though, is that the summer vacation period, if you're doing a master's qualification, so say you start in the September, you'll finish your studies, if you like, the May, June, the following academic year. But then the summer period is normally when you're working on your dissertation, that huge research project that you have to do, or just it's basically a final project, the final sort of project that you have to complete. And because it's then classed that you're studying over the summer vacation period, that is considered term time for you, unfortunately, if you're doing a master's. So that's when you are only allowed to still work 20 hours a week if you're working on that summer project. You can also work full-time after your course has officially finished, but on the student route visa, you cannot be self-employed. So you need to be working and employed by a company on their payroll. Okay, I'm going to breathe for a moment and just pause to let you take all that in about studying in the UK and student visas. Like I say, this recording is going to be shared with you, so a chance for you to look back and maybe go over some points that I've said. So now I have the opportunity to talk even more, and this is when I get really passionate about the university that I work for, because I've worked here for 6 years nearly now, and I'm very proud to work at the University of Portsmouth because we have so much to offer you and so much opportunities and drive to help you be the best that you can be. So a little bit about our location. You can see there the map of the UK. That's our tiny island compared, like I mentioned at the beginning. We are on the south coast of the UK, so the south coast of England. And all universities in the UK will tell you how far away we are from London, because that's the big city. Everyone's heard of London, but we are a really nice location, actually. You know, we are not too far away. We're 17 miles, which on the train is approximately 1 hour, 20 minutes to get to London. So if you're landing into London Heathrow or Gatwick, London Gatwick airports, they're the main London airports. You know, you could get the train for about an hour and 20, 1 hour and 30 minutes maybe, or you could get the public bus, that's called the National Express, and you can get that from either airport straight outside. I can see it out the window actually, you know, outside the university, door to door pretty much, which I think it takes a bit longer, but the National Express coach is actually sometimes a slightly better option, especially if you've come off a long flight. You don't want to be doing the London Underground potentially after a long flight. But these are all things that we'll tell you about if you do come to us. We'll do another kind of induction talk similar to this anyway, to help you with all these kind of logistics, but just to give you an idea of where we are. So Portsmouth is a great city. I'm actually originally from Birmingham, the UK's second biggest, England's second biggest city, but I really like Portsmouth because it's a good medium-sized city. So it's not as big as London and Birmingham and Manchester, for example, but it's not a small town either. And I think that's a great opportunity for students who are coming to the UK for the first time. So you'll find your way around the city. Lots of students are walking, cycling, getting on the bus around the city because that's the easiest way to get around. And walking and cycling is good for you, and it's also free. So there is a bonus. And there's a student bus as well that takes you around the city. With your student identification card, you can get on the student bus for free. And it also goes past the local supermarkets. So you can get on and off with your groceries each week when you've been to the supermarket. But our location has a great train station as well. So we are walking distance to train stations in the city centre, where you're going to be studying and living. And of course, those transport links can get you easily into London and other cities around the UK as well. But we are a very ambitious university. That's why I'm very proud of where I work actually, and to work here, because we are always striving to invest back into you as the potential students, into the student experience. So we're doing well. These statistics, you know, I will show off. I will tell you about our statistics and what we're achieving. But we are always striving to improve on this. We want to be not just the top 10, but the top 5, not the number 2. We want to be the number 1, not the 95%, the 99 and the 100%. And we're always striving to improve the student experience and the opportunities. I mean, this page, this slide is impressive, but we're always striving to, and we're ambitious enough to invest back into that student experience. The university itself is spread across 5 key faculty areas. So we have business and law, creative and cultural industries, humanities and social sciences, science and health, and technology. So faculties are just basically key departments, and we have over 430 different degree programs. And a lot of international students come to us from ICP, which is the International College Portsmouth, because maybe your bachelor or your high school qualifications didn't quite match the requirements of what we need. So lots of international students start on a foundation course for 1 year at the International College Portsmouth, which is out of the other window I can see of where I'm sat today. And so it's very close on campus. It's a separate institution, but very, very close. So you'll still have that access to university experience. The courses that we offer, these are very broad subject headings. I'm just going to kind of flick between the 2 pages here because I couldn't fit it all onto one slide because we have so many key areas. So you can see the different departments, but within these kind of headings that we have here, we have more than one course. So we don't just do biological science as one course. Underneath biological sciences, there's maybe 6 to 8 different courses. The same on this page here that you can see. So the psychology and sociology, I think there's about 10 or 12 different psychology, sociology related courses. For example, the healthcare and social care have about 15, 20 different courses. So to give you an idea, so do look on our website to have a look at undergraduate bachelor's or master's to see which course is right for you. And like I mentioned about that kind of the theory alongside the practical learning, we have those facilities, equipment and resources here in Portsmouth. So you can see there the mock courtroom, the geotech lab, the language labs, the formula student car for our engineering. The bottom picture that perhaps you can't quite see is the motion capture facilities for animation and visual augmented reality courses as well. So, you know, and these are just a few examples of what we have. And I think that's a great way to learn because you're not just sat in a classroom, you're actually getting involved and learning in the practical sense as well. Experiences and opportunities at the University of Portsmouth. We have lots of opportunities through work placements. I'm still keeping an eye on the time, I promise. So we have lots of opportunities through work placements. These are like internships where there are often, we call them sandwich years. So if you're, for example, your bachelor qualification is 3 years, if you were going to do an internship for 1 year or work placement, work experience for 1 year, year 1 and year 2 would be in lessons. Your 3rd year will be your placement year that the university will help you find. And it's normally paid employment for 1 year, working for a company in the UK or overseas. And then your 4th year is when you come back to wrap up your studies and complete your qualification. So lots of opportunities there. But then there are also short-term 6 months professional experience as part of some of the master's programs in technology. You have the opportunity to study or work abroad, maybe just for 1 semester, so 1 term, or maybe 1 full academic year. The study abroad opportunities are fantastic here at the University of Portsmouth. In my department, we have a fantastic team called the Study Abroad team, and they help you. You know, we have some great partnerships on a lot of our courses with different universities around the world, where you would be taught in English. So unless you have some language skills already, as maybe a 3rd or 4th language, you blow my mind. International students blow my mind with your language skills. I'm typical British and speak that much Spanish, but you know, lots of international students have some fantastic language skills. So you can either be taught in English or taught in a language that you're confident in, you know, and we have that great opportunity, and that would be a fantastic opportunity through Portsmouth for you to have that experience. Go to another country in Europe, go to another country further afield. We've got really strong links with a university in Australia, the name Edith Cowan University in Perth, as part of some of our courses there. So, you know, not just Europe because that's next door, but some great opportunities around the world. It's a very exciting opportunity for you, but also, again, thinking about your future job application to say, as part of your course, you had this learning experience, you had that cultural experience. It just looks impressive on your future job application. And when you've graduated and you're looking to start your career, it's going to make your future job application stand out from the crowd because of the opportunities that Portsmouth have offered you. And then the opportunities to learn a language for free and get that extra English language support as well, and also opportunities for a summer school experience whilst you're studying here as well. And then I'm not sure if you can see that just there, but social events and support. You know, I've spoken very much about the academic experience and the learning experience at Portsmouth. And yes, of course, that's important, but it's also important to get the right balance. So for your academic studies, but also for your mental health and well-being, for your enjoyment, go out and have some fun, get involved in the UK and in Portsmouth as well. Through our Students' Union, we organise, the Students' Union is an association run by students for students. So they organise all those, if you're interested in joining a sports team, trying a new sport, trying something new, or maybe joining, if sport isn't your thing, opportunities to join a different club or society. We have over 150 different clubs and societies here at the University of Portsmouth. Everything from the Harry Potter Society to the comedy club to salsa dancing to the Christianity groups, to the computer clubs, the animation society, lots of different things that you can join if playing sport isn't your thing, but you can join loads of different clubs and societies. Because it's important. You've got to feel settled in your new city and in your new country. We don't want you're going to feel homesick at times. That's natural, but we want you to feel settled. We want you to build your community. We want you to build your network, because they're the people that you're going to support and they're going to support you like a second family, really. So that's through the Student Union, but my colleagues here in the global team at the university, we organise the orientation weeks as well, which is basically the welcome weeks. So we organise campus tours, city tours to help you find your feet and work out where things are and what's going on. We help you set up a bank account in your orientation week. We help you register for your doctors to make sure that you are all set up for, hopefully you'll never be sick when you're here, but you know, if you are, then you're set up and supported here. But then we organise all kinds of different social things. We'll take you to the top left picture is Stonehenge, a very typical tourist attraction here in the UK. We'll take you to different beaches on the south coast. We'll take you to Bath for the day to go and look at the Roman baths, which is really quite amazing to go and look at. And we'll take you to Oxford for the day as well, maybe, or maybe London and Brighton and different cities around the UK, because you're here. Make the most of it, get involved and enjoy living in your new country, and we'll certainly help you do that. But also about making friends. You know, we'll organise different nights. In September last year, I helped out at the coffee and cake afternoon. I was told to go and eat cake and drink coffee. It was terrible. But we, you know, it was an opportunity to meet students and encourage students to come along. And I would see students walk in to that coffee shop on their own. And then within a few minutes, with a cup of coffee and a slice of cake, sit with their new friends. And in the end, I had to ask them all to leave because we were closing. You know, they were making friends, they were sharing stories and experiences, and that's what we want you to do. We'll put on a cinema, a movie night. There's free pizza. A lot of these social things are around free food actually as well, so that's always a bonus. So lots of opportunities to get you involved, meet people that are in exactly the same position as you. Everyone is nervous, everyone is excited but worried, and that's only natural. And we want you to make friends and feel settled. So we'll certainly help you do that. Okay, I can talk forever, as you probably noticed. So I'm going to stop talking now. But these are my contact details. This is the global department here at the University of Portsmouth. So any questions you have about your application or anything that you want to know, you can email there. But then there is my personal email address as well. So I'll give you a moment just to write that down. But of course, you can as well contact us through our social media platforms. You know, lots of different social media. You can message us, direct message us through those platforms as well. So I'm going to stop sharing so that we've got the full screen and I can see a few questions. So Tamika, over to you.
Yes. Ruth, thanks so much. That was such a great presentation. So I just want to thank you on behalf of everybody. So everybody, we did have quite a few questions coming through. Some of them are similar from different people. So we're just going to tackle those first, and then we'll get into some other questions from you guys. So Ruth, just to give everyone an overview first, and then I'm going to shoot some questions to you. So everyone that is on this, as Ruth said, you will receive a recording of this live presentation. In that email, you will also receive instructions on what to do next, links that you need to click on to get further information and things like that. So we won't go over the two particular details on that, just because you're going to receive it shortly after this session ends. But some of the questions that you guys have that you wouldn't have received in that email, we're going to go ahead and address now. So Ruth, can you speak on University of Portsmouth's policies on study gaps and students entering in with a study gap?
Like a gap year, you mean? So a gap from studies in between.
Yeah, so say for example, if a student has a study gap of 4 years, would they face any issues coming on now?
It very much depends on the students. If it was me, I would really struggle, because I struggle academically, because that's just my learning style. I'm more of a practical learner than a theory learner. So it very much depends on the students. My advice is to really think about your goals, you know, why you want to get this qualification. And that's not me saying that to put the student off and to say, no, don't do it. But really think about, when you're writing your personal statement as part of your application, really think about why you want to do this course, how it's going to help you for your future career. Maybe you've been working in one industry for 4 years, for example, and you're thinking of changing. Tell us about that. Tell us why you want to do that. There's nothing wrong with being a mature student and coming to study for a qualification, whether that's a bachelor or a master's qualification. We encourage it. I think students like you are amazing to come and do that, because maybe you have, you know, you're out of that academic rhythm and your momentum of studying academically. But just, you know, we will see that you've had a gap. We will advise you, we'll support you. Coming to Portsmouth, the support is excellent for students. My experience of working here is very similar. Like, we are a large university. We have, I think it's approximately 24,000 students. We're a medium-sized city, but a large university in that, and we're the only university in Portsmouth. I've worked previously at two much smaller institutions, and the study support there at those smaller institutions was excellent. And I did wonder when I came here, being a bigger university, will students feel like they're a small fish in a very big pond? And that's not the case here at all. You know, the more I meet lecturers and academics from different courses, the study support is still excellent. You know, if lecturers have an open door policy, so you know, you can just knock and go and see them if you have any questions or queries about your studies. Maybe you're not sure about something, you need some extra guidance, or of course you can book an appointment, maybe to do, you know, there's not many perks of the pandemic, but the technology and the Zoom and Microsoft Teams, that is a strong plus, I think. So those kind of meetings and support for the tutor student support is there. So to answer the question, we would not turn students away if you've had study, you know, time out from your studies. You know, we might need to see how you are driven and how you are focused and your confidence with your subjects, and coming back to academia after having such a large gap. We need to make sure that you're going to be okay.
Excellent, Ruth. Thanks so much. So the next question is regards to IELTS and English requirements. Is there a possibility of a student receiving an IELTS or English waiver based on studying in English, let's say for their bachelor's degree?
Yes, very much so. We'd have to look at it as an individual case, but yes, absolutely. Obviously, if you are from an English, you studied your bachelor, for example, in English, then we would just need to see evidence of that. Or maybe you're just from an English speaking, you naturally speak English as your first language. Yeah, absolutely, that could be waived.
Okay.
We don't want students to have an extra expense, because IELTS is expensive, you know, can be expensive, can't it? And we don't want students to have that extra expense.
Excellent. Okay. And then can you speak a bit on any scholarships that may be available to students?
I wish I had a pot at the end of the rainbow, you know, to answer this question. Unfortunately, the University of Portsmouth, I'm going to say it as it is. We don't have full scholarships. We don't offer that full scholarship as an option. There are scholarships available. There's like if the students from the EU, there's the EU transition scholarship that's guaranteed for the next 3 years, which will reduce your fees from the international fee down to the same as the UK home students, which is £9,250 a year. For other students who are from overseas and wider of Europe, there are scholarships available. That's a contribution towards their tuition fees. So if you go onto our website, which is port.ac.uk, there is information on there. So there's 3 or 4 different kinds. And then, of course, that we have some strong links with external scholarships as well.
Okay, excellent. So as everyone is on this call, again, we will be providing you with links to give you more information in regards to the scholarships Ruth just spoke on, as well as minimum program requirements and the programs offered at Portsmouth. So all of that will be emailed to you. You don't have to kind of search for it frantically. I know Ruth gave the web link if you want to go on there, but you will get it in the email following this event. So to go on to more specific questions, these are kind of around programs, so these may be a bit easier. So this is kind of like a yes, no, Ruth. Some of the programs that the viewers are looking to see if Portsmouth has is fashion programs.
Yes, we do. We have, you're testing me now. Fashion and textile design is definitely one for a bachelor qualification. And then we have fashion marketing, and I think that's at master's level as well. But yeah, some amazing courses for fashion. Oh, the facilities and the work the students produce blow my mind. Like I can just about sew a button on, and the work the students produce is fantastic. So yeah, come and see us or message me and I can send you some links to show off our facilities for those courses.
Excellent. So the next program would be logistics and transport, or anything of the sort.
Yes, of sorts. Yeah, we logistics, transport. Yeah, we do logistics and supply chain management. That's an MSc, so a master's qualification. Do we do something for undergraduate in that area? Yes, I believe we do. So not transport as such, apart from the engineering side, maybe the manufacturing engineering, mechanical engineering. It's that stretching it a bit with transport, I appreciate, but there are links there, yes, for sure.
Okay, excellent. And the next one, in regards to the master's programs for students looking to further their business bachelor's degree, what type of programs can international students take on?
What, so from their bachelor's in business, what they can do for master's level?
Yes,
Lots of different choices. There's so there's I don't know them all because there's so many different ones, but exciting ones, you know, things like international marketing, that's logistics and supply chain management. Oh, my brain. There's so many different choices. What you can do is go onto our website and there is the find a course button. So if you select undergraduate for bachelor, or if you select postgraduate, which is the master's level, and you can just type in, you don't need to know the course title, just type in business, for example, and it will give a whole list of everything that we have to offer. But the website's laid out really nicely, actually, because each of the course pages, if you then look on the left side of the page, it will give you everything that you need to know. It's so user friendly. It's brilliant, actually. So it tells you what you'll study, how you're going to study it, when you'll study it, how much it's going to cost. There's a button for each course of how to apply. Everything is there. Okay,
perfect. And the last one in this set of questions, does Portsmouth offer programs in theology and philosophy?
No, that's one area. But all the courses that we do, that's one area we don't. I'm sorry.
Okay, perfect. Moving on to the next question. I see you guys sending in your questions, so we're going to answer as many as we can. Some of these questions are a bit personal, so I won't say them out loud on this call, but I have jotted them down. For those of you that have sent your email or your WhatsApp number, we will have someone reach out to you to answer those questions. I know some of them you wouldn't want them addressed live, but we're going to address the ones that we can here. The next question here, Ruth, is somebody coming from high school, other than their high school diploma, and I'm assuming English, are there any other qualifications or test standards that they would need to meet, similar to in the US requiring an SAT or ACT?
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was just thinking of. It depends on the student and where you're from. yes, your high school qualifications and English language, if required, are the standard ones. You can go onto our university website page, and if you go to the top where it says study and then click on international students, you'll then be able to go to the your country. So to look at the your country page, and you'll find your country, and it will tell you exactly what we need from, you know, what your traditional high school qualifications are, and approximately what GPA or whatever it is that we need from you. So it really does vary. But always tell us about anything extra that you think might be worthwhile as well. You know, the mainstream ones are your high school qualifications to come onto the bachelor, but maybe you did an extra course. Maybe you did, you know, something extra in your own time, like an extra qualification. Tell us about it, you know, or certainly talk about it in your personal statements as well. Well, as well as, you know, typing in your extra qualifications, anything that you think is worthwhile, that's going to enhance your opportunity of getting a place here at Portsmouth. Tell us.
Excellent. Okay, and the next question, for a typical student, how long would a bachelor's degree take and a master's degree?
Okay, great question. A typical bachelor qualification is 3 years long, unless you did that placement. So traditional 3 years, that sandwich work placement, work experience year, internship, lots of people call it different things. So that traditional 3-year qualification, you do year 1, year 2 in lessons. Your 3rd year would be your work experience year. Then your 4th year, you come back to wrap up your studies. So bachelor's traditionally 3 years long. A master's is normally 1 year, maybe 18 months if you have that research dissertation project at the end.
Okay, perfect. So Ruth, we have one more question that we're going to answer. Everybody else on the webinar, if you didn't get your question answered, or if it was too personal and you want us to contact you after, we will. If you would want that contact and you haven't already, feel free to send your email or your WhatsApp number, and we will definitely get someone to discuss your personal case with you. In regards to the questions, Ruth, the last question we have here is, does Portsmouth plan on introducing the MBA for international students?
We have a version of the MBA. If I can just very quickly, I should know the title because it's not a traditional MBA. Yes, it's the MBA Strategic Leadership Masters. So this MBA is designed to develop your senior management skills for a career in business leadership, including within the private and not-for-profit sectors. So that's our version of the MBA. The traditional MBA, if I'm honest, I don't know. I've not heard of any developments. I've not heard of any progression in that area at the moment. But you never know. Keep an eye on our website. Watch this space.
Excellent. Okay, and Ruth, do you have any closing remarks you'd like to make to everyone?
Thank you for the opportunity. I wasn't prepared for that, but just to apply as soon as possible. You know, if you're looking to start in September 2023 for a bachelor or a master's qualification, apply now for sure, because it's April. So yes, apply now. We have some courses that start in January 2024, so the pressure is not quite as intense. But you know, apply as soon as possible for January. You know, if you're looking for September 2024, then that application won't open until 12 months in advance. So September, October, think about applying there, but give yourself plenty of time, because it makes it easier for you, it makes it easier for us, and then hopefully you'll get that CAS letter in time, so then you can apply for your visa. And then you can apply and get here nice and early for that orientation week and all the social activities that are going on to settle you into your new city. So just apply early is my only advice. And of course, wishing you all the very best of luck. And hopefully we'll see you in Portsmouth. It'd be great to see as many of you as possible.
Yes, thanks again, Ruth, so much for presenting to us today. Everybody, again, you will get a copy of this recording. You'll get tons of links to give you more information and instructions on what to do next. You will receive this at the email that you've registered for the webinar with, so definitely check there. It may come to your spam. As Ruth said, sometimes it does go there. So definitely check that and look out for that. And I'm so glad that everyone got on today. Thank you, everybody, for coming on. Thank you, Daniel, for hosting today. And everyone have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks again. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.